I know that there are Dolphins fans out there that get very upset if you say anything other than Tua Tagovailoa is the next iteration of Dan Marino. And his numbers weren't horrible, but in key moments, and this goes all the way back to the Colts game week 1. Xavier Howard, former teammate of Tua's in Miami, signed with the Colts. He's since retired, but he was there week 1, and he said, if you take away the first read, he goes into panic mode. And it's almost like if he can't run the offense exactly as it's orchestrated, Devin, he just like overloads. Like you get a blue screen on a computer or the old red circle of death on your Xbox 360 from 20 years ago, which I'm sure you and your brother were fighting over, right? But, I mean, it's just like the system, like smoke comes out of it. Like he just freezes up. And he tries to run away from the defender, and he can't, but he doesn't throw the ball away. He doesn't he doesn't do it. He's just like, he knows this is going to happen, and he's submitting to it because he has no other idea. He has no other plan. And we saw it multiple times last night where it's like, Tua's like, all right, okay, he's running. Tua, what are you going to do? Tua, what are you going to do? You just can't have that. You can't have a successful team if 3 or 4 times a game your quarterback is going to have a system overload.
Yeah, and I think the game plan was evident for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Coming into the game, the Dolphins had been riding that 4-game win streak, but Tua was averaging 21 passing attempts a game. And I think Pittsburgh came in and they said, hey, we're not going to let this guy just hand the ball off. We're like, it's just not going to happen. And they put everything towards the run. And even though Achane's numbers looked good and it wasn't, the worst thing, every average 5 yards a carry, but they couldn't stick with the run. And I think for Tua, at one point in this game, as I think it was in the late third quarter, he was only 9 of 14. So those numbers look better because at the end of the game, they had to keep throwing. But to your point, that first clip we showed, that interception to me was the moment in the game where you were like, man, Miami looks good, but why the hell would Tua do that? Like, they were driving, they were in scoring position. There was no reason to throw the ball out there. The guy's basically double covered because Asante Samuel Jr. is just getting depth. He just throws the ball out there. That to me sticks out. And whenever the pressure comes and all he has to do sometimes is just throw the ball away, and he kind of runs and he moves. It happened with Jalen Ramsey was coming at him, and he's moving to the left, and he peeks over his shoulder. He sees Ramsey, and he has a chance to throw the ball away, and he kind of pump fakes it, and he holds it, and then Ramsey just knocks him out on a sack where you're like, hey, man, when you're in complete control of the game, every play is not good. Just throw the ball away. And they have so many plays in that passing offense where he drops back, and it's either wide open over the middle or he throws it outside to the back, and they have the fullback angle right in front for a lead blocker. So it's a pass play, but it's really a toss all the way outside with a lead blocker that when you watch him play, it just shouldn't feel as hard. And I think last night where Tua had to show up, he had to make some plays, it just didn't work. And he needs to get a win in one of these conditions just to take away this narrative. I think it's now 0-6 or 0-7 all time when it's below 40 degrees. And it looks like that. When you play against him at the quarterback position, he looks cold. He looks rattled. It never goes smooth when it's cold outside. And I know there's other problems, but until he deals with that, that is going to continue to be something everyone talks about when he has to play in these games.
Narratives just don't pop up out of the blue. They have facts. Like cliches become cliches because they're true. Narratives morph into narratives because the underpinning is factual, and we've seen it time and again. And I know that after they beat the Jets and it was a little bit colder, but the Jets are the Jets, and Tua was a little salty. Salty Tua is comical, and we see him from time to time, and I just don't get it. I don't understand why there's this cult of Dolphins fans that don't see it. There are certain plays that happen that when you see them, the reasonable conclusion is this person has no business in the National Football League. And I'll say that again, because I know we speak extemporaneously. I do 10 hours a week. and sometimes you say something that's an exaggeration. I'll say this again. Some of the plays that we see, not many, but you talked about the Ramsey play, these system overload, red rings of death plays, that comes from someone that does not belong in the National Football League. For his own safety. Like, what are you doing in this moment? Like you don't know what to do. I think that's the only explanation, Devin. Xavier Howard said it. It's panic mode. He doesn't know what to do. He can't think clearly in those moments. And my good friend Kirk Cousins has some of that too. So there are others who have had it. Now, it doesn't happen as often for him, but I remember when he was with the Vikings, the walls close in, and he just doesn't know what to do. Now, I think it's more he can't do anything about it. I don't think he freezes up from the standpoint of, should I get rid of it or shouldn't I? I don't think he has the chance to do it. We've seen that. Some of these guys can't, like, Jared Goff, you put the walls closed on him, like, what, there isn't much he can do. But Tua has time to do something with it. That's the difference. When Jalen Ramsey's running at him, he has time to do something. These guys are coming in from the secondary. He's got time to do something. And the system overloads. And when you see that, it's like, it's disqualifying. And I'm amazed that isn't a bigger deal, because I think it comes at key moments and it keeps you from winning football games. And on one of those plays, and it may have been the Ramsey play, like, I saw his head hit the turf, and then I think Ramsey fell over and hit his head again. Not as hard as Rodgers' head hit the turf during the game, which got no mention at all. It amazes me. When we watch the games in the viewing room and we see a guy kind of get whipsawed around and his head hit the ground, we all react to it. It's amazing to me when someone's broadcasting a game and they see that and it doesn't even get mentioned. And they slow it down and replay it and it doesn't get mentioned. Man, his head hit the ground pretty hard there. They should be keeping an eye on him. It's astounding to me that Joe Buck, and I'm sorry, I know it's Christmas season and let's not talk about other networks, and it was astounding to me they didn't mention the fact that Aaron Rodgers, I know I'm kind of all over the place on what I'm saying, but I just thought of this. It's astounding to me that they didn't mention that his head hit the ground as hard as we've seen a guy's head hit the ground this year.
Yeah, I mean, chin strap came off and everything when Aaron Rodgers' head hit the ground. And, again, going back to the other point on Tua, I do think, because this is the same guy who 2 years ago led the league in passing and completion percentage and all that. I do think he's in that group of quarterbacks who, when things don't go the way they practice it all week, it just seems to be, how do you get out of this? We've seen it with Sam Darnold this year. We've seen a little bit when teams have taken away the first read for Daniel Jones. Now, I think those guys are better quarterbacks than Tua, in my opinion. But I think for those guys, that's the hump to get over to become a really good quarterback in the National Football League. When you can go in and week out and handle what defenses will give you when they game plan, when they switch it up, when they do different things. And I think those are the guys we see, whether it's a guy like, Joe Burrow, who didn't do that this past week, but Joe Burrow, the Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allens, like, we see those guys come out and they might struggle for a half, a quarter, but they figure it out. They take shots where we're like, man, how did he get back up and throw the ball? Like, those are the guys that we watch, the Matthew Staffords that do that, where we're like, man, that guy, each week when you play against him. Even as a player, we knew the guys we could rattle. And to me, for Tua, he accomplished these great things, and those usually put you in that elite quarterback kind of group. And I think for people in Miami, they wanted to put him there. But the people watching who are like, hold on now, we get the numbers and we get that aspect of it. But when it gets tough, when teams are game planning and they're able to switch things up, that's when you got to deliver. And that's what happens this time of year. When you get to the end of the season, you get into playoffs, every team goes back and they watch every single game. They go back and they say, hey, this is do or die. We either win this game or our season's over. And I think that is when we see some of these quarterbacks struggle. And I think for Tua, he struggled at a kind of all-time high compared to some of these other quarterbacks. And he hasn't been in as many of these games, it feels like, even though they've been in playoff games. It felt like when they did make the playoffs, they were in comfortable position going into the end of the season. And then we were all like, well, we know what's going to happen when they get in the playoffs. And that has continued to happen. So I think that's where Tua's struggles come in that are similar to some other quarterbacks.
I can't recall another guy exactly like Tua where, Devin, when everything goes as planned, his execution of an offense is flawless. And all the stuff that he can do in the running game. And, every once in a while we'll get some of the fancy plays with the – and it's Harlem Globetrotter stuff where he's flipping the ball around, guys running behind him. Like, he has the ability – to run that offense to perfection. And one of the criticisms of the Dolphins in recent years when Tua gets hurt, the backup can't do it. Like, okay, why don't you have a backup who can do what Tua can do? And when it's working, it's a thing of beauty, and I think that's what the fans get smitten by. And they're willing to overlook the moments of the red ring of death. But to have that juxtaposition, can you think of any quarterback who, when everything went well, was a maestro? And then you throw in a little bit of adversity, and it's a meltdown. And there's no in between. There's no in between. There's plays where, there's nothing there and he throws it away or he misses the guy or whatever, but you take away that first read and you keep the play from operating the way that it was designed. And you just, at that point, I'm just like edge of my seat. What is going to happen here that's going to be really bad for the Dolphins or Tua? Like, you're just anticipating it because he's not going to be able to run away from the guy who's chasing him. He's not going to throw the ball away, and he's going to get to him. And again, that we saw that over and over again last night. And I can't think of another guy where we've seen that. And I mention it because I feel like it's the thing that's keeping him from being what he wants to be and what the fans in the organization want him to be. And it's keeping the team from being what it wants to be. And it gets back to this question of, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Are we just going to run it back next year and do the same thing and get down to December and have an outdoor game somewhere and see, 6-8, okay, we're respectable, but we're not competitive. Like, are they just going to do that again? Because it felt like when they were winning games that, okay, yeah, they're just going to do it again. And if you're going to do it again, remember, last night's part of it too. You're going to win your games, but you're going to have games like last night too. If you're going to do it again, you just have to understand that. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.